walk into the fogs to die mysteriously. Hey everybody, good old Bri right here, and we are back with episode 2 of Roadwarden. In the last episode we played a little bit, got through some of the exposition of the story, got onto the peninsula, did a little bit of traveling, figured out how things worked, and got to the first inn. Then I had to end because my voice was killing me, so we're gonna hop right back into it today. And look, we're right back here where we were. Okay, so great. What else do we need? I still don't really know how things work fully, so we're still gonna be learning today. But I did want to say thank you for all the support on the first part and on the channel in general over the past year and the beginning of this new year so far. I appreciate you guys, and I'm excited to be playing more of this. Okay, so this is the symbol for dragon bow. Yeah, okay. Okay, great. What else do you need? I could eat something. Do you have any leftovers? I could eat something. I do need to ask about Asterion. Ask about the peninsula. That's fair as well. I don't even remember. We need to look at our quests. According to Pelt's innkeep, Glacia and her band have broken the truce with the local villages. He's going to pay me 2 dragons if I get in touch with Thais, the mayor of Howler's Dell, and bring him her response. I just got a bunch of stuff to do. Let's ask about leftovers first. Yes, I feed them to our boar. I won't give them away for nothing. He tells you to wait, then leaves the building for a few minutes and returns with a wooden bucket and a long stick ending with a hook. Go through the gate and turn left. You'll see a bunch of bushes. We need some berries. Bring me a bucket full. You'll be done in half an hour or so. Your horse could use a nap anyway, and I'll prepare something to fill you. The hook is not made of metal or wood. It is a long, curved claw, almost black. I don't mind. Tools are cold, not too heavy. You notice a pair of thick gloves at the bottom of the bucket. Ah, the berries are not a problem, the innkeeper smirks. Unlike the snakes. Better scare them away with a stick or move them with a hook. And protect your hands. The little ones won't eat you, but don't get bitten. I'm sure you know how to be patient. Let's go. Let's do it. You step outside. Sodal is moving around slowly, as far as its court allows. At this hour, the armorer's workshop is closed. The innkeeper knew what he was talking about. You put on the gloves and look through the bushes from a safe distance. It doesn't take long before you notice the first serpent lying on a rock somewhere in the thicket. The creatures are not that large, and even if some of them hiss at you or slither closer, the jabs of the hook keep them at a distance. You don't know much about these berries. They are round and reddish. You wouldn't trust such a color even if you were looking for food in the wilderness. The plants don't have thorns, but the leaves are harsh. They make sure to thoroughly cover your skin with your clothes. You have to look through many bushes to fill the bucket, but the presence of insects and snakes doesn't allow you to relax. Okay, I got a bucket full of berries. You've returned to the courtyard. 2 of the guards are participating in a friendly skirmish. Their wrestling is accompanied by a crowd. I enter the inn. The locked windows make the air stuffy, and the weak fire in the stove hardly lightens up the hall. The innkeeper is mixing something in a pot at the stove. So, you again. Need anything? Put it on the counter. Great. He peeks inside the bucket. I've got cabbage stew with a few goose chunks for you. I'd serve it even to merchants if there were any around. The meal is warm and filling. It's well seasoned and not overcooked. And like I've said, I rarely have food to spare, but feel free to ask if you ever stop by. You may be lucky, and I've been cooking my whole life. Okay, so now we're 3/4. Now we can overcome physical struggles even more. I need to clean myself off. Okay, thanks. And how did that old hook of mine work out for you? I see you still have your hands. lost it. I'd like to buy it from her. I'm not gonna take his tools. He needs berries on a regular basis, you guys. Okay, we still got 12 hours and 45 minutes before dusk. Let's ask about Asterion. Are you now? He goes to the table and invites you to sit down with him. I don't think I'm going to be of much help. He rests his elbow on the tabletop and grunts quietly to clear his throat. But I do want you to find him, so... When asked about his intentions, he measures his words. Asterion and I made a risky deal. Well, a very promising one. Last time he was here, he took 50 coins. My half of the investment. He knocks on the table with a fist anxiously. Get my coin, or at least find out what happened to the guy. I'll make sure you won't be disappointed after bringing me the news. Did he steal him and run away? He looks at a window and starts to play with the shutter. I just think Asterion ain't the kind of soul that would do such a thing. For him, it wasn't much of a fortune, and I'd risk saying he had earned my trust. Not only mine, you know. It's easy for a Roadwarden to make connections. He always had places to go, things to take care of. He rubs the table with his thumb, as if trying to clean an invisible stain. I've asked travelers. I've sent a couple of my pals to find him. No real news. I know he stayed in the White Marshes for a day, and was meant to do something for the people there. It's a village in the northwest. Just stay on the main road until you reach the bogs, then enter them. You may get there before dusk. So, let me know once you find anything, and we may yet return to this whole investment thing. I will think about it. He nods. What else do you need? Again, I am still getting over like a sinus thing. So talking too much starts to kill me, and I might be a little nasally, but yeah. Just bear with me. Okay. Peninsula into this size. Let's ask about this because it's a quest. He freezes, observing your hands silently. I'm on it. Alright. Any rumors we're sharing? Crosses his arms. I don't like to talk about people who ain't nearby. Show me first that you're someone worth changing habit for. Alright, so he's got some solid character. I'll give you that. Let's go to the well. Clean our face. The recently renovated wooden roof covers the well from rain and birds. One of the guards is enjoying the cold drink he drew with a bucket and tells you to use only as much water as is necessary. Oh, I don't have any bathing equipment. Interesting. Can I buy one from him? I can go and pick up a few things for you. Some food for your travels to start with. Apples, nuts, sausage. Not too many at once. We need to maintain our supplies. I've got an elk fur I don't need. Its buyer was caught by a pack of red wolves. Nice for a sleeping spot. Just as nice for a wall. An almost untouchable as soap. Priceless for a traveler. You can't tell if he's being sarcastic. Made of fine oak ash. Strong, though you should have some better supplies before you start your own bathhouse. After you mention you'd like something more useful on these roads, he looks down. I don't have any blades or armor to spare, but if you pay well, you can take one of our crossbows and a bunch of quarrels. A yew-bow, wool cords, and the trigger needs just a little bit of oil. It's as good as you can get without soaking it in magic. Takes a bit of muscle to draw, but even a 16-year-old can handle it. I won't sell it cheap, but I'm ready to give a discount to a helpful ally. At $5. Burn skin on longer contact. I think we're gonna buy the soap and maybe some ration. And then we're gonna go clean ourselves. I washed my shell. Why do they call it your shell? That's so strange to me. Very interesting. Splashing yourself with cold water from a bucket won't take away your smell, but it's enough to remove the tallow and sweat from your skin, or mud stains from your clothes. I'll take it. You walk past the well and find a small open shed, not unlike the stable, but with a humble set of tables. Carving tools, hammers, sharpening stones, pincers, knives, and other tools. As long as something can be solved by brute force, this place will find a way to do so. There are two people sitting on a long bench. The first one is a male with maybe inch-long hair, a cleanly shaven face, a thin, long, yellow tunic, bare legs, and sandals. He ignores your presence, sewing a gambeson with great concentration. The second person is a boy, maybe 15, who's wearing the crude outfit of a farmer. He glances at you, but soon returns to sharpening a long dagger. Greetings. The man raises his head, but it's the boy who speaks, focused on his task. He ain't talking. Tell him what it is that you need. This man smiles in confirmation, looks at the piece of garment in his hands, then looks around, shrugs, and returns to you with a raised eyebrow. Learning the trade? Kind of, he answers reluctantly, but his teacher pats his knee, giving him a harsh look. The kid clears his throat. Yes, but we both ain't masters, you see. There's not a soul to teach us, so once I'm ready, I'll try hunting instead. Fixing things for others is boring. The man grunts a sound, though you don't understand it. Seeing your face, the boy chuckles. He said, safe. Let's meet in the middle. Boring, but safe. The man nods. Oh, I unlocked the trader K. He nods, points at the laces in the front of your jacket, raises his clenched fingers to his shoulders, then gently spreads and lowers them, as if he's taking off a robe. You follow his command and allow him to properly inspect your gambeson. After a few minutes, he gives it back, then reaches for his pouch. He pulls out one dragon bone, shrugs, then another one, and waves both of them in the air, pursing his lips. He makes a few speech-like noises with his empty mouth, groaning what sounds like, I don't know. Okay, my jacket's already as good as he can make it. He shakes his head and points at the uneven seams on his own tunic, then grabs a crude bone needle and shows you its broken head. You wouldn't even if he had the tools, says the boy, but you can try in Howler's Dell or Gale Rocks. Where am I? Okay, so I know it's open from the context clue. How many days did I have, by the way? Like 40? Yep, 40. I can. I have to click travel. Is it, can I leave? The road uphill meanders, slowing you down and forcing you to pay close attention not only to the shadows of the trees, but also to the tight, rocky passages. You can't help but notice a few caves and find ambush spots. I keep an eye out for any sign of life. $12 hours, okay. Ruined village. Standing in front of the gate, you hear no voices, no tools at work, no steps. Dozens of birds live among the collapsed roofs. Their fluttering, singing, and squawking is free of worries. If you want to travel any further, you need to ride around the palisade. Searching the ruins may take a lot of time. A broken gate in the north will lead you to the village. The sound of a gentle river reaches you from the east, where you see a saggy fence surrounding an overgrown pasture. Behind the burnt building in the east, you see an oddly barren field. We're going to keep going, try to make it to the bogs. Let's do, I guess, the pasture. Okay, we're exploring it and it's opening up, I see. You don't find a single sign of the livestock that lived here in the past. Any bones, horns, antlers, or dung have already been devoured by the wilderness. The pasture ends at the river, on the opposite bank. The meadow turns into a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. What are the chances that a herd of defenseless animals could get there and survive? The breach in southern fence wasn't made by some brute force. You find axe cuts in the spots that were ultimately broken away. After all these years, there are no tracks that you could follow. Oh, I'm wasting time. Going to the village. Can I, go back around? The buildings, some of which have collapsed, are made of wood, now charred and rotten. You spot claw marks on the walls, especially close to the doors and window frames. They could belong to a dragonling, or a large wolf, larger than the gray ones, or a corpse eater. Too many options to make a guess. Yet no beast remains in sight. You find the remains of clothes, furniture, odds and ends. Only one object seems to be of use, a basket-like fish trap made of vines and willow branches. If a large fish swims into it, it won't be able to get out on its own. Quite large, so I can fit it on my saddle. Okay. I have a fish trap. Basket made of vines and willow branches, yes. Feel a slight aching in your stomach. Why? Good. Go to the palisade and continue on. The tracks of human footwear and many, many more ape footprints cover the path formed around the palisade's breach. As far as you can tell, the freshest footprints lead to the village. The wooden stakes spread on the ground are rotten, covered in mushrooms, small flowers, insects, and worms. A good source of animal or goblin food, though you'd expect them to also hunt for the birds and eggs. The meadow in the west turns into a forest quickly. The grasses in the north surround dozens of tree stumps already covered with moss and fungi. I shouldn't enter the forest, especially not in this area. It's unpredictable. Feel a slight aching. Why? What's going on with my tummy? Am I sick? Where do you want to go? Living in the west. The meadow is lush and colorful, and so dense it's unsafe for a rider. For a couple of minutes you lead Sodal with the rope, avoiding the potential disaster in case of a hoof falling into an animal den. Being forced to travel around the palisade every time you get here is going to be a pain. Most of the tree trunks look similar to and have a comparable size. They're most likely planted with the sole purpose of being cut down and used by the locals. Though cutting so many trees at once, that alone could provoke the wrath of the herds. Such a process should be spread across a couple of seasons, and you can't be sure that was the case. In the west and north, the clearing turns into a wild forest. In the east, you see a road leading north. So we need to go east. You're at the closed northern gate. The neglected road is partially overgrown. You hear a river in the east, separated by the lush meadow, filled with crickets and rodents. Pushed or pulled, it doesn't move an inch. Someone has spread dirt and rocks both underneath it and around it, seemingly to keep the planks stuck in the ground. Just take a look at the other side to be sure it's even possible, especially since it may take a couple hours without proper tools. Okay. Okay, let's go to the river. I like how it updates the map. You see a quenching family of boars, some of them brown, some black. You consider turning back, but they pay you little attention. After a couple of grunts, they run north. The river is not too wide, yet unusually deep, with banks altered by the locals for decades, if not centuries. The water is cold and clean, yet filled with long plants growing from the bottom. You'd rather avoid jumping inside or drinking from it, but you're tempted to at least wash your face, neck, and hands. Dozens, if not hundreds of small fish are looking for tasty leaves, but also try to avoid their predators. A dance of life, completely unaware of your presence. You suddenly realize there's something else buried among the kelp. A rusty sickle sticking out of the ground, a couple of stone axes and hoes. The wooden handles and a large wagon are covered with moss, but you recognize their shapes. Why would someone drop them here? On the opposite bank, the meadow turns into a thick forest, impenetrable for a rider. Where am I supposed to go? No, I already cleaned myself. Yeah, let's have fish trap. You place the basket on the ground, then grab a bowl and start digging. Looking for a few larger worms, you bait the stick and push it inside the basket, locking it between the sides, then cover the entrance with the lid. Tying it together takes you a few good moments, but will be easier later on. You attach the entire trap to a bush and push it into the stream, far enough that it sinks entirely. Who knows how long it will take before something large enough swims inside. Still, it would be better not to wait for too long, otherwise the prey might die of hunger. Okay. Let's do the main square. In every village, the main square is the fanciest area, meant to charm the travelers. Yet this is way more than you expected. The houses are as big as in Howler, and the paved ground took a lot of work and materials. The walls, now charred and riddled with holes, are made of an expensive, coated wattle. The tiles for the roofs also had to be brought here from a different settlement. You peek inside the 3 smaller buildings, rotting remains of the former splendor. The birds living in dozens of nests respond to your arrival with quite a commotion. You don't find even a single dragon bone, nor a tool or a piece of furniture left unbroken or unrotten. You're surrounded by bad smells, dirt, animal droppings, and garbage. The well also stinks. It has no bucket, but you'd be afraid to use it anyway. Who knows how many birds have relieved themselves inside, or how many old rats have found their death while climbing up the walls. Suddenly, you hear some sounds coming from the largest building. Your stomach makes you let out a painful groan. What's wrong with my tummy? Is it like instinct? Am I sick? I don't know. You step cautiously toward the scent of urine and sweat. The flickering candlelight shows you broken furniture, yet no signs of burnt wood. You consider pulling the other door when a masculine voice proves that your presence is not unnoticed. I didn't wanted to come to this, but stay where ye are. Whatever you put inside, be it a shoe, a hand, or ye damn thinker, it'll get a bolt. No. We'll be friendly. Relax, stranger. I'm a Roadwarden. And you chose this place to visit? From all that there are, even outlaws don't come here. He pauses, then goes on before you respond. It may be you're telling the truth, so let's say this. My little ballista here is all pulled and ready. But ye won't do anything stupid, right? No running, no jumping around, show your hands. The man's voice lacks confidence, but his accent is tricky for you. He could be from the distant south, but as long as you don't speak too quickly, you understand one another. You don't hear any other movements, breathing, voices. You lean your axe against the door frame and make sure that your knife is well hidden. I walk inside. Take a drink of water real quick. The dense smell of urine hits you with full force. While the tools and utensils are hard to distinguish from the rubbish, the route to the upper floor is blocked by the collapsed roof and loose wooden beams. There are scraps of rusting iron and steel on the ground, detached from now destroyed barrels. The scavenger is sitting on a blanket in front of the tent, pointing at the floor with his loaded crossbow. not a short man, though a bit skinny. He's tanned, dark-haired, and has seen his share of struggles. There are long claw scars on his left cheek, and another one that would divide his eyebrow in half if it hadn't been consumed by a fire, just like the rest of his forehead. His clothes are untainted by vanity. He's barefoot in a dirty linen shirt with rolled-up sleeves and simple pants that use a cord for a belt. His long beard and hair are untrimmed and tangled. I'm trying to be friendly, but I don't want to get killed, but we'll try it. You wipe the dust off the steps, but before you sit down, you hear the man's annoyed voice. Now don't get too homey. Oh, should have stood there. It's the only place here that's not just ashes and debris, and I'm not sharing it. You better ride ahead. I already piled up whatever hasn't rotten. The candle lights are dancing on his burnt face and arms. He moves his crossbow just enough. Excuse me. He moves his crossbow just enough to make sure he won't shoot you by accident. I saw you, horse. Maybe you could help me, What are you looking for in this place? You don't sound like you're from the north. I need to get to know the peninsula if I'm going to patrol it. Then better stay away from the eastern paths. No shell rides there anyway. Even the west and the coast have roads like moose crap. I've traveled and pedaled for years now, you know. I wait for some group to join, and here, people don't travel, or damn anything about any place. Just a waste of time, I tell ye. A long pause. Listen. He scratches his thighs nervously. I'm hungry. So damn hungry. I can't hunt or fish with all the ape men around. Can you share anything, Roadster? I may be a drifter. Is it supposed to be believed? Oh, bye. I wouldn't beg if I had not lost my bags on the road. I don't know how much I want to give away. I gave away a food ration, okay. He lets out a relieved breath. I may even boil it. After a moment of hesitation, he grabs a cracker. Without you, I would have to run after birds with my ballista. Yeah, I need to save bolts or the ape men. And because of those stinkers, I can't roast here. And raw meat makes me want to puke. Thank you. After a couple solid bites, he puts your gifts in 2 wooden bowls. Now, Roadster, he says with a full mouth. If you have questions, ask. I'll say a lot to make you get me out of here. 10 hours left. Tell me about yourself. How to keep goblins away. Sure, there's no undead. No hidden treasures. What happened here? Well, I won't guess, but I saw many ruins. There's no treasure and skeletons here, so this place means as much as dirt. Someone is barking too loud, so the beast broke through and made them quite quiet again. He clicks his tongue, and that's that. Talking about nature's fury brings bad luck, don't you know? How to keep them away? I've got a trick or two to keep me safe, a little something that scares them away even without magic. But tell you what, his smile turns into a wide grin. Help me get out of here and I'm going to share some of it with you. What do you want? Where do you want to go? Let me explain first, eh? I was in Howler's Dell, the closest village to the east and north, and people there are nice, not like in old Pagos. They're all boring and grimmer than a crow, but they cry coin for everything, and damn good coin. I left, wanted to look around the ruins, see if there's anything left, then moved to Pelt and hire the hunters to help me here. No luck. A bunch of griffs jumped my pack bird. I just bought it. He spits on the floor. Fast and nimble, but not brave enough to listen to me when all that screeching and scratching started. So, he ran away with my bags. He fell on the ground and I pulled them here. You see how it is. I won't travel around with the 10 on my back. He taps the crossbow with his fingers. I need maybe a day more. Aye, just a day, and I'll have all the iron scrapped from the barrels, so I can move forward. Yeah, I can't take all my stuff alone, and without me around, the 8 men are going to break in and steal all my shit. I need to stay here, but since you have a horse, come back tomorrow and help me return to Howler's Dell. How about it? I just need to know that the road is safe. Safe as it can be, I mean. What exactly do you want me to do? I need you to make sure there's no danger hiding on the road from here to Howler's. Or rather, I know there is some danger, but as long as ye can get there and safely return, I'm sure we can handle some roaming monsters. He theatrically rubs his hands together. This ballista has hit more beast skulls than I have fingers, and I've never lost a finger, Roadster, only the toes. Maybe to prove it, he starts to count on his fingers. So, see if the road is clear, then come here tomorrow. We'll pack my stuff on your horse and move out. But don't come when it's close to evening. We're going to need 3 hours on our feet, and I won't push through the night. Even sleeping next to an 8-man tribe is safer. He chuckles. And don't make me wait for too long. I can't wait for a couple of days if I can wait for a couple of days if I find some food. But if you don't get back, I'll have to risk it no matter what. I mean, I see a point. You have never been there. Can they afford my iron? Do they have means to pay for it? I need coins to find a handy bunch that will walk south with me. And I need a new staff and bolts. I know the village. It's a nice place and even has a smithy of sorts. I had a chance to take a look. It's a large inn, a safe one. They seem to be rich and have enough hunters to guide you south. You can use iron to barter. Well, it's a shorter path, I guess. Fewer spots to get surrounded by corpses. If you're sure it's the best option, fine. I'll trust the roadster's judgment. I have ways to pay you, don't you worry. I can give you dragons. Yeah, I have to sell the iron first, so I'll need a bit of time, you see. 5 for a short escort would be plenty, I'd say. If you want, I'll give you a secret jar of mine, a very fine mixture that scares 8-men away. Works on pebblers, too. When you ask if all the stench of urine is somehow related to this potion, he just winks and chuckles. Okay, learn more about the villages. Sure. Thanks, Roadster. Just come tomorrow. I'll make it worth your time. Let's go back to... Oh, I can inspect it tomorrow or later. Okay, let's explore the rest of the village. Paths here have almost been reclaimed by grasses. To your east and west, you see shadowy alleys behind damaged buildings. It may take a couple of hours, especially without proper tools, to help you remove all the ground and rocks. Check out the tree. This gate's locked, huh? You don't find anything worth picking. The half-dead quinces have maggots crawling under their skins. You wonder which part of this meal is more tempting for the dark-winged bird sitting among the branches. The flesh of the fruits, or of the worms. The quinces or quincies? Quinces is fine. Are rarely eaten without having a chance to blet. You can safely guess that they were meant to be dried, or to add taste to cookies or hard drinks. After a few moments, you realize that the bottom part of the tree, just above the ground, is partially charred. Someone must have opposed a torch here, but the wet wood didn't burst into flames. After the bottom part of the tree, okay, I look into the well, want to open the gate, let's check the well. It's filled up with soil, and you find nothing interesting about the area around it. Okay? The closer you are to the village, and the longer you stay around, the sicker you feel. The taste of gastric juices hits your mouth, your forehead hurts, you start to stumble. Sodal, worried by the sight, pokes your head with its nose. Let's get away. Leaning on your mount, you go outside, keeping your mouth shut. After a few minutes, your eyes get clearer. Okay. Stop and touch your aching stomach. Where do you want to go? Oh, it's something here is making us sick. You're surrounded by what looks like a field plowed in late autumn, disturbed by hundreds of rains and snowfalls. There's a few clumps of grass and wheat, but a place like this one, abandoned for years, should already have turned itself into a green lay. A barren field. Maybe it was overused, but you would still expect the weeds to sprout. A curse? The path leading west from here ends at the edge of the field, shifting into a meadow, then a forest. Go back to the southern gate. The broken logs and planks are charred, while the wooden walls are rotten and covered in moss. You see no ashes or dust, proving that the fire happened long ago. The smell is awful, and there are no reasons to stay for long. You see no furniture. Again, bunch text. You see no furniture, just some broken shelves. It was just a storage room. The valuable odds and ends were already taken by the scavengers. Village. The palisade is in good shape and the entrance wasn't even touched by the fire. It was torn away, possibly thrown. The amount of used force must have been huge, but you'd expect that it would push the gate into the village, not away from it. You don't see any marks of a dragon bite. Patrol could toss such planks, but after so many years, you see no paw prints. A mage? You can't really tell. Okay, can I travel and keep going? Oh, I can. Okay, I was looking for it on the map itself, but I wasn't looking at the travel map. We'll continue on and come back to the ruins. 9 hours and 45 before. You enter the wetlands with their many streams, ponds, and fish. Large birds run and fly between the gray, sparse trees that are covered with moss, mushrooms, and critters. For a human, it may be an unwelcoming and harsh realm, but the overwhelming swarms of insects prove that it's a realm full of life. The danger, with teeth and claws, is hidden below the water surface. Stay away from the... Okay, so now we're here. Then take a drink before this big excerpt. This plant shouldn't be alive. Not without leaves. It doesn't resemble the other trees of the wetlands. It's something else. You get off your horse and prepare your axe. The water is filled with dirt and dead plants, and it smells like an old corpse. The roots are spreading far, breaking through the water's surface. You don't see any saurians, and the grasses are on the shore. You approach the table-like altar made of 3 limestone slabs. Were these rocks originally as formless as they are now? Or was there a point in time, centuries ago, when they were precisely shaped and decorated by masters of artistry? There's no way to tell. Sodal is peacefully observing the dark grass and slapping flies with its tail. Whatever it is you feel in the air, it's clear that your companion sees this place through very different eyes. Strong spirit hidden in his tree. Okay, buddy, go ahead. You didn't see any creatures nor humans. Altar. There's clumped dirt and uneven nicks, fused by years of winds and rains. The bottom surface of the table is dusty, but you don't find any spiderwebs or mold, even though it's a perfect spot for them. The tree roots cling to the altar in many spots. They're firmly attached. You struggle to move them by even by an inch. The cream-colored limestone is cold and smooth. Make an offering. Sample food. What do we got? What do we got? I don't have a lot of food left, though. Replace any type of food you can find in your sacks or on the nearby plants, but none of them seem to make any difference. I don't want to look into the water. It's scary. You step cautiously without knowing how deep it gets. You have to consider that a saurian could be camouflaged in the mud, waiting for a victim to get near. Since you don't plan to kneel down and drink, you're hoping to dodge a potential strike. Once you get closer, you start breathing again. While the water is dirty, it's also shallow. You see the vegetation, swimming insects, and even small fish. All of them stay away from the tree roots, which look like a spiderweb covering the bottom of the pond. Aside from that, you don't see anything that would catch your attention. You kneel in front of one that's lying on the shore. It's brown, covered with hair that resembles that on your arm. When you touch it, it's moist, soft, and warmer than you'd expect. What am I supposed to do with it? We're gonna leave it. I don't think there's much more to do here. I'm gonna go north. You slow down. Among the shrubs, a small pack of dragonlings is feasting on the carcass of a gray auroch. One of them, with red feathers on its arm, straightens up and gives you a curious glance. Its head tilts left and right, forward and back. It screeches at you, but doesn't move forward, and returns to its meal. You wonder what would happen if you were on foot. Would they let you be, satisfied with their prey? Or would they run after you? But if so, for what reason? For now, you have enough space to move forward, yet stay safe. The powerful jaws break the monster's bones loudly, then bite off and swallow chunks of meat. Ride forward, but I keep my distance and look over my shoulder. The beaten road serves your palfrey well. The forest to your left becomes sparse and brighter, and there are dozens of human-made paths among the fruit-bearing trees. On your right, there's a large pasture, with at least a dozen massive mouflons. Like cows, I think. 8 hours. 2 of them already sheared, or like sheep, I guess, look comically small. Soon after that, you ride alongside vast, flourishing fields filled with rye, still green, preparing itself patiently for the second harvest. The path ends with a massive wooden gate. The stone wall, separating you from the glow of lights behind it, isn't as tall as the roofs, but you can't imagine climbing to its top. There are pretty much no cracks, no missing bricks, a sign of many hours of labor, especially considering how massive the settlement is, as wide as a city district. The birds and monkeys are now just a distant echo, replaced with the sounds of carts, running, hammers, saws, laughter, and shouts. I'm surprised we haven't ran into anything yet, haven't had to fight anything, or had anything happen. Large settlement. Yeah, I'm not huge on them either, but maybe I can rest here. A young man is leaning against the closed gate, covered by its shadow. He's young, tanned, and has a short, elegantly trimmed red beard. Beneath the green gambeson, he wears an expensive tunic decorated with colorful trim. From his arm hangs a steel helmet, though the metal is so thin that it's mostly made of wool and leather. He moves into the light and takes on the posture of a disciplined soldier, not a mercenary. Standing upright with his chin up. There are 2 weapons on the ground, leaning on the wooden beams of the gate. An axe made of steel and a wooden club. He doesn't reach for either. You dismount smoothly, still having some vigor left. Toto holds its tail high. A narrow path leads north, toward 2 field workers, one with a hoe, one with a pitchfork. They wave to you. You can't see their faces, but their clothes are simple, gray pants and vests, made from hemp and wool. I wave back, why not? Howler's Dell, huh? Is this just like my story? It's gonna unfold? They talk for a bit, looking toward you and pointing at your mount, then walk away, disappearing behind the wall's corner. The guard smiles, yet avoids your eyes, and has to clear his throat before he speaks. Welcome, traveler. If you're new here, is it like new? Here to make, oh, if you're here to make trouble, blah blah. Howler's Dell. If we're not here. If we're nay here to make trouble. Goodness. Howler's Dell welcomes you. We have the whitest flower there is. When he bows, you realize it's a well-practiced performance. If it's new garments you're looking for, you can order everything you need right here, in all colors, shapes, and sizes. Capes, boots, vests, robes. Or if you're yourself a master of the needle, I can assure you we have the fabric you're looking for. His act is over and he glances at your mount in a moment of silence. His eyes get wider as he observes it with a childlike fascination. This is Sodal. It helps me patrol the roads. You can pet its side if you want, but no sudden movements. He follows your instructions, even though your palfrey pays no attention to the man's careful touch. The guard grins widely. I need to see the mayor, please. A city folk, eh? The mayor is busy, but I'll ask her. Give us a moment to let you in. He knocks at the gate, which is then pulled inwards by two other guards, a man and a woman, wearing their own gamisons similarly green, but tailor-made to match their figures. The nearby buildings are simple houses made of wooden beams and covered with thatch, while the storehouse is even more modest with the roof made of planks. The watchtower has a ladder made of ropes and sticks, no stairs. Just give me a moment. The guard strides away before he finishes the last word. The others close the gate behind you and observe your mount carefully. Your eyes run east to a humming creek running through the center of the village. We wait in return. Calming sound, aye? The Howler's Creek. The guard, like most of the locals, is taller than you. Wide but shallow. There's never been a flood in years. Pa told me there is a knee, because it's a knee. Pa told me there used to be nay bridges. Okay, that one makes sense. Neighbors crossed it with their boots in their hands. And 'tis clean like a raindrop, but there are nae many fish. We're the cleanest village in the north, her companion chuckles brightly. When the guard returns, he's still alone. She can come now. A friend of mine is in labor. The mayor wants to be there when the child arrives, but I was asked to show you the village. I nod. Fine. He approaches the watchtower. Tie your mount here. We'll keep the kids away. Most of the neighbors are getting ready to celebrate. Once you're done, he grabs the rope ladder. The view from up there is gorgeous. Why are we so suspicious of everything? Even though the ladder swings in all directions, the guard gets to the top quickly, like a monkey climbing up creepers. You, on the other hand, need to stop and wait for the ladder to calm itself. When you join the man on the wooden platform, you're a bit dizzy. He's leaning on the wooden parapet, observing the area with a smile. I look around. See? There's nae a place. There's not a place like Howler's Dell. The guard points in every direction, giving you no time to contemplate. For the next few minutes, he describes the fields and their crops, the flocks in the pastures and the shepherds inspecting the fences, the ancient garden of trees and bushes, larger than the village itself, the sunlight dancing on the stream to its own tune. If you are to believe everything he describes, this place has access to everything in abundance, the sweetest honey, the most fragrant bread, the softest wool, and the beer, 'tis excellent. He sounds like a city merchant who's trying to sell an old house. What an annoying kid. Near Havlavan, you could find 5 larger and richer settlements in less than 2 days. No wonder he's so proud. Why wouldn't he be? They've tamed a scrap of land and live in comfort. Will be nice. The islet in the middle connects both parts of the village, according to the man. The northern gate is hardly ever opened, as it. Goodness excuse me. as it leads nowhere now. Near the eastern gate, there's the Ape Ale Inn, where you can find a bed and victuals, and the stall where Akakios rewards our work. Unless we annoy him with pointless talk, he lets out a chuckle. On the opposite side of the creek, there's another white house. It belongs to, is it Bion or Bion? The best clother in the north. The priests live in the southeast near the wall, but they do need talk to stranger. You also hear about the hunter, the cooper, the fisher, the miller, the pie maker lives with his sister, the baker. The smith and her husband, the carpenter, live with their kids. Some of the larger buildings could accommodate 2, maybe even 3 generations at once. There could be more than 100 dwellers here. You consider stopping his speech, but he suddenly points at the islet again. There, see? The mayor's coming. The one wearing purple. You're free to join her, traveler. Nod and climb down. You try to get down quickly, but 2 steps are enough to make you sure that it's a bad idea. You wait for the ladder to find its balance. You're relieved when you touch the ground again. You untie your palfrey and follow the guard. You pass a small pasturage surrounded by a wooden fence, a few loose chickens, and a tethered boar. The fancier buildings are covered with whitewash coating and surrounded with vegetables, herbs, and flowers. The bridges are wide enough to carry even a wagon, but for Sodal, walking on the wooden beams is far from pleasant. The islet is empty, but you notice an empty stall painted with the shapes of colorful flowers. Let's walk over a second bridge. Along the entire path, you notice more and more people observing you, smiling, or casually greeting you as they're focused on their own tasks. Finally, you reach the main square. A large tree grows in the center, surrounded by dark water, held together by a thin wall perfect for sitting, but the smell coming from the liquid makes you think of rotten eggs. The plant reminds you of the tree you saw in the south next to the swamp altar. Okay. In the north, you see the Ape Ale Inn. Judging by the tables, stools, and benches outside of it, it's open for guests. Villagers are chatting and dining loudly, and you catch their curious glances. On the side of the dining area, the merchant is arguing with a tall, broad-shouldered worker. An old man is sitting by himself, eating a pie, with a walking stick leaning against the table. The young woman is cleaning the empty mugs in the creek, speaking with a man at least twice her age, maybe her father. A spot to tether Sodal. There's a wide wooden roof right next to the gate that shelters carts, crates, and sacks. You move your mount next to a donkey, to a beam placed here just for this purpose. Without a moment of hesitation, Sodal starts to chew on a nearby haystack. You have some time to make sure it doesn't struggle with your bundles. You return to the inn. I look for the mayor and approach her. A lot happens in this game. There is a lot of dialogue. I feel like I'm gonna miss something and miss like a clue. But we'll do our best. She's sitting on a chair with a 4-year-old boy on her knees. She's holding his hand gently, showing him how to eat gruel from a bowl. It's not a cheap meal, though. You spot nuts, berries, and milk, and the added honey makes it yellowish. The kid is clean and quiet, and once he notices your arrival, he crams his mouth with a spoonful of oats. Now, love, the mayor titters. You need to get distracted. She rubs the meal off his face. A few more spoons and you'll go help Papa in the kitchen, eh? She gives you a radiant, though apologetic smile, then turns her attention back to her companion. Her long, full-sleeved linen dress must have been dyed once in blue, and once in red to achieve its dark, fancy purple, which would draw looks even in Havlavan. From her left shoulder hangs a green woolen cape, as thin as a shawl. The brown belt on her waist has a large steel buckle that portrays a running deer with unrealistically large antlers, growing in all directions like tree branches. Unlike her tribesfolk, she's pale, with powdered and rouged cheeks, and her lips match her outfit, though they are a bit closer to wine red. The thick gray strands in her long blonde hair look more like a fashion choice than a result of aging. Her eyes are the color of her cape, keen and vigorous. She's shorter than most people around, though would still be the tallest woman in most of the northern settlements. While she's around 40, her slim hands and fragility do her parents, even though her posture is upright. Her legs confidently crossed and her delicate voice assertive. She makes plenty of gestures, but her shoulders hardly ever move. I wait. I'll have manners. After a few more minutes, the boy lets out a gentle cough and, after a pat on the back, the mayor puts him on the ground. You did a great job, love, but now I need to speak with our guest. Darling, she addresses one of the inn workers, a girl close to 15. Take him to father, will you? Her tone suddenly gets firmer, leaving no hint of a question or suggestion. Yes, Ma, she responds. Both her hair and her eyes are nothing like those of her brother, and neither of the kids resemble their mother. So we have a Roadwarden again. Please sit down. She vaguely shows you the palm of her open hand, letting you pick any place you want. Here's a trade partner. Sure. You have a good look at the inn's front door, leading to a cellar-like ground floor. It's dark, with crates and barrels covered with fruits, nuts, and vegetables. The actual inn is upstairs, but the only people who go in or out are the workers, most of whom are teenagers. The mayor observes your outfit carefully, maintaining a polite, though cool, smile. Once your eyes meet, she hardly ever looks away. I'm sure you're hungry. My husband will bring us something soon. No food is free. Now, let's nay get silly, she lowers her voice. Nothing is free. But nay, every act of kindness is a trap. I'll fill your stomach now, and we'll both fill our pouches later on. And of course, she brings back her smile. It is a custom of ours to lend a hand to the lost travelers. The forest is full of fruit, and these nay reason for us to suffer from hunger. Then I accept. That's a relief. You're saving me from one awkward dinner. She taps her chest and looks at a flock of birds that fly above, loudly heading south. As we're waiting, be so good as to help me understand something. Eva, if you're but a mercenary, I can nay imagine a single reason for you to choose this realm for your wardening. Nay, so long after Asterian's disappearance, there's nay glory for treasures to find here. Her pale fingers form a tent on her stomach, then clasp, leaving the forefingers pointing at you. You were sent here by the merchants. They want the peninsula. I have no reason to be rude to anyone yet. I present Hablabon's interest as an opportunity. You introduce yourself and touch on the more obvious sides of the potential deal with the guild and the city chief, the troops, their pay, and the patrols they would establish. The overview of taxes. Trade routes would bring new life to this place. You try to sound warm. It's a win-win. Throughout your speech, the mayor observes you patiently, without interruptions. I see, she finally responds. As she observes your palfrey, she twists her deer buckle left and right, left and right. If it was that simple, I'd be eager to applaud. But it never is that simple, is it? Her eyes fill up with melancholy, despite her smile. I appreciate that you're coming with a carrot, not a stick. But when it comes to the guild, there's always a catch. Her accent is now almost identical to the one used in the city. I'm telling you everything I know. I can't ask you to trust me, but I'm not hiding anything. Even if I were eager to put trust in the words of a stranger, your honesty has nothing to do with the truth, necessarily. It doesn't put me in an easy position, as you can imagine. Here, listen to this trick I learned about during my studies. She theatrically clears her throat, patting her chest with one hand and covering her mouth with another, then leans forward and rests on her elbows, allowing her hands to freely make gestures. You make a deal with the settlement. Flour and wool exchange for coins and tools. You send the first traders, and they imply that you're ready to pay more for, let's say, parchment. Months later, you want no more rye, just the parchment and wool. We can nay butcher any more mouflons, the locals say. Don't worry, you answer. We'll send you a small flock. Just turn one of your fields into a pasturage. As she pretends to speak as different characters, her voice comically shifts, and she has no issue switching between accents. Sure, we'll encourage her. She swings her hand above the table. Another year goes by, and while there's more parchment, the village lacks some crops. The tribe needs not just tools and coins, plenty of coins, but also seeds, and the guild is not satisfied. Sending our wagons costs a lot, and there are more highwaymen now. If you want us to come again, you need more mouflons and to sell us their cheese. And guess what? With the haunting laugh, she straightens up and spreads her arms, like someone a third her age. Turns out that the village can't say no anymore. They lack supplies, seeds, and land they can't refuse. I don't know what to say. I mean, she has a point. She's a tough cookie. Oh, how wonderful. Keep the compliments coming. No soul in the square reacts to her loud laughter. But all that doesn't mean I can encounter every single city ploy on my own. That's the good thing about living here, with these kind people all around us. She nods toward two little girls that are carrying a basket filled with vegetables between them. If some of us struggle, we all have to deal with the consequences. We all struggle, but we all benefit. But Havlavan? If they see profit in chopping off our arms, they'll sell them to the first bidder. He gives you a sad glance, but cheers up after a sigh. Let's finish the introductions. I'm Thais, one of the keepers of Ape Ale Inn and the mayor of Howler's Dell. I assume it would be convenient for you to take my answer back to Havlavan. He wonders for a moment. Say, when could we expect the first caravan? After winter? Depends on what you can sell and what you want in return. 7 hours. While the conversation goes on, the food gets served. The refreshing aroma of roasted mutton, covered with a thick sauce made of mint, parsley, and honey, tempts you to bite in right away. The juices are sinking into the round trencher, a plate made of simple brown bread. There's also a small bowl filled with chopped red radishes and a sliced boiled egg, and a mug filled with cold buttermilk. It's all brought by a few young people, all of them referring to the mayor as their mother. And in the end, the innkeeper himself shows up to wish you a good meal. He's wearing a clean orange tunic and a not-so-clean apron made of hemp. He politely introduces himself as Eric's, and after confirming you won't get sick from what he prepared, he leaves you and his wife to your conversation. Thais tears the meat into smaller pieces, then eats slowly, often expressing her enjoyment with a hum. Sounds like the nearby ground is fertile. The village would gladly pay its taxes in grain and vegetables, with the expectation that a squad of soldiers would provide additional protection. Our youth is strong, she claims proudly, so we don't need your guards on our walls. But a lone Roadwarden won't keep the roads passable. We need fighters willing to patrol the paths, maybe even the heart of the woods. That's what we'd expect in return. You're not an expert when it comes to linen, cheese, and wool, so the mayor spends a good couple of minutes describing the outstanding quality of what the village has to offer, especially the clothes, which are meant to be as unique as those made by Master Crispus. You vaguely recognize the name of this tailor shoemaker, but you've never earned enough to pay him for as much as a single sleeve. And of course, we will never reject some steel and bronze. We lack alloys for sickles and scythes. He then repeats her question about starting a trade route. Truth be told, the guild is not sure what the peninsula has to offer. It's going to take more than your village to convince them. Understandable, but okay, Eastern Path. Understandable, but you won't find much in the other tribes. They have barely enough to survive, even after they trade for our crops, for we have the only decent soil in this realm. At least the people of Gelrox have salt and barrels of fish, while Creek sells meat and wood. Actually, if you haven't been in Creeks yet, the farthest village in the northeast, you could give them a chance. Nods with a smile. They could use your help with keeping their roads safe. White marshes, on the other hand, as well as old Pagos, are close to worthless. For a trade route, that is. She clears her throat. After these words, she stands up, walks to another table, and offers her trencher to an elderly man who sits there by himself. With a trembling voice, he thanks her, then starts to chew on the soggy bread. She sits down, wipes her hand into a clean cloth, adjusts the folds of her cape, and once again crosses her legs. So tell me, Bri, how's Howler? I haven't gathered much news since the invasion. Things stay humble but are starting to look brighter. The harbor is full of life and the kids grow strong. Sometimes better, sometimes worse. Not everyone has their own bed, but the new generation's ready to start their own fight. It's far from great. Children who lost their parents during the war have no trade in hand. There's not enough settlements to send them away. Many people are unable to prosper. Let's do the middle one. Let's go middle road. And I was afraid it was lost to hunger. Her chuckle is trimmed with scorn. Good to know I was wrong. When the invasion started, some merchants were cheering in their houses, happy that they would sell out all the blades and food they had stored. Can you believe it? This panic will make us rich. He imitates the voice of a pompous man. That's why when the southerners reached the villages, they found almost nothing to eat. Besides, staying in a remote peninsula truly can be a blessing. He pauses, hesitant to go on, then shakes her head slightly. But we can't change the past. How can I help you, Bri? Sorry, I've left 7 hours. Okay, so we have all this dialogue, but we are at about an hour. So I actually think that's going to call it for today's episode. We found... Maybe I should make some notes. Creek sells meat and wood. And Gale Rocks have salt and barrels. I don't know if it will matter. What was it? Creek sells meat. Creek sells meat and wood. Gale Rocks, salt and barrels. I don't know how that will help us later, but I will make a note. That being said, I am going to save it. We are going to jump to the main menu. And that is going to do it for this episode of Roadwarden for me. This game is still very interesting. There's a lot of dialogue, and I feel like there's a lot, and we're still working on getting into it. I don't think things will ramp up too crazy. I'm sure there are conflicts and like struggles you have to overcome and things you can do, but I think it's mostly just going to be a time management thing and figuring out all the quests. But yeah, we found the man in the ruins. We need to go back and check on the fish tomorrow, see if we can get a free fish from that trap. Also escort him back and make some money, as well as finish talking to Thais and get her answer for the, what is it, the Pelt Inn. But yeah, but we're getting there slowly but surely. Might be a longer series, but it's still very interesting. I love the music. I like how it's set up. I just worry that I'm going to be bad at remembering all the things I need to try and get good endings. But we shall see what happens. As always, I appreciate all of you watching and hanging out. Again, thank you for all the support on the first part and just in general over the past year and the beginning of this new year. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. That being said, I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.